Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, show where we talk about all of our geeky interests. Show we talk about movies and TV shows, comic books, and video games. My name's Tommy. Delighted as always to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond, it's the one and only DL.
What up?
What up?
He did a cheeky switch of the microphone stands this week.
Oh, we did, yeah.
So
yours is falling over.
So
this
I've
week.
got the shitty one. I don't know how this worked out. How you doing?
You got screwed over. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
What's been happening?
Same stuff.
You chuckling over there. You chuckling about something already. What are you laughing about?
Oh no, I was dude. Before you haven't seen the video I sent you before this, but there was. It's just a video of Anthony Mackie making fun of Tom Holland over the last 10 years of Avengers movies, when he's in interviews and he's just like, oh, this guy sucks. Such a pain in the ass, has his entourage, he's always yapping like a little shih tzu. You tell him to shut up. He's like, Anthony Mackie, shut up, dude. He's like, he's got his kale salads in his seat. And it's just a barrage of interviews with this guy just ripping him. And I got to the point where I was like, wow, you really need to chill out. He may not get it. He's young. He may not be able to take this.
He's 22 now. I can get it.
Back when these were being made, though, who knows?
Did you send me the one? Because I saw one where they're on stage together. It's
10 minutes long.
Oh, there's one where it's Comic-Con. It's just a really quick skit. And Anthony Mackie basically says oh, I didn't watch the Spider-Man movie. Oh. And Tom Holland goes, you didn't see the Spider-Man movie? He goes, I didn't watch the Falcon movie. And then he's terrible. Because there wasn't a solo Falcon movie. Yeah. But I bet who's laughing now? Look at this. What's coming out?
No, I think it probably was that same Comic-Con. Because there was another one where he was making fun of him where he was who's the guy that plays in Guardians of the Galaxy? He's a wrestler. The one that's really, really literal and blue.
Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista. So they were there's a skit where they're talking about how Dave Bautista was doing this the Superman punch.
Yeah.
And how Tom Holland tried to do it. He's like, that was fucking lame. He's just ripping him the whole time. It's literally 10 minutes of cuts of him and actually Bucky, the guy that plays Bucky, ripping
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though? I assume being an actor, right? You're on set with people for a really, it's 3, 6 to sort of 9 months usually, and then maybe some reshoots.
Yeah.
It's a really intense amount of time, but then you disperse and you either see them once in the next 10 years or not at all.
Yeah.
So it must be really weird. But these guys have been together.
It's really unique. It's almost
over
like a show.
10 years now, which
they're
is incredible.
A family. Yeah. It's like Game of Thrones.
And they're making $1 billion for every movie.
Yeah. I think it is I think that people, they feel probably pretty blessed to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Because so many people love working together, and you're right. And it's 10 years later.
Absolutely, yeah.
But with the MCU, it is a little bit more familial and it's a little more consistent.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting you equate it to a TV show. I understand the thought pattern there because that is it's kind of interesting that it's like that.
I mean, I would assume the whole phase 1 through at least 3 at least 2 would be the equivalent amount of time for some of these actors being together as Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
think about
probably.
It. Iron Man was sure. Some of them, obviously not to the same scale, but Robert Downey Jr. Chris Evans,
pick a Chris.
I literally had to think about it. And Thor, those guys.
Yeah, Hemsworth.
Have been fucking together for at least 10 years.
Yeah, and there's probably some supporting cast in there as well who did a fair amount too, like Jon Favreau.
Yeah, and
he's in more than just the Iron Man movies as well. He's in a lot of stuff.
And even Tom Holland, 3 or 4 movies. That's a 6 year. That's
he's in a bunch.
There's at least 5 years.
I genuinely love all the Tom Holland movies. Did you hear this week that apparently he came from his filming of Uncharted, right? And he still had his short back and sides for his Nathan Drake hair.
Yeah.
But they wanted him to have the Spider-Man look, which is quite
wavy,
unkempt to the left. And so they gave him a wig to wear around the sides. he was like, I never do this, but I'm putting my foot down. This is the one time as a leading actor I'm not going to do this thing. And I was like, yeah, you do that, Tom. You tell him.
You're not wearing the wig?
Imagine having a Friar Tuck wig around the sides of your head. That would be ridiculous.
If it looked bad, it would look real bad. But I bet
wigs look real good though.
But
these
I bet
days.
they're really good at that kind of stuff.
The Captain America wig for Infinity War was insane.
I saw some screenshots somewhere. I think we basically stumbled our way into news. I saw some screenshots somewhere and Thor's got the same look. He's got the same wig, and I don't know if it's Guardians of the Galaxy they're filming, but I saw some screenshots of one of the upcoming ones, or if it's Thor 4 or whatever. But he's got that same kind of braided look.
He's got the hair back. He's got the he's gone back to being the original OG sort of look. Well,
but it's like it's the braid. It's not the OG. It's got like remember the one he had in Endgame, or it was a bit different.
Oh, down the back.
Yeah, it's down.
Like,
he had that. I'm pretty sure.
That's interesting.
At least in the screenshot. I saw.
Well, I mean, we can talk about that in a minute. But like, let's. I've not even asked you what you've been up to this week. What have you been doing? What have you been up to, bro?
What have I been doing?
I'm intrigued.
God, what have I?
Yeah, what have you doing? This week has just flown by, like absolutely. Because it was obviously Valentine's Day in there as well.
Yeah.
So like, so basically, I got a little drunk on Friday night. So I had Friday off from work.
Okay.
And I got a little drunk on Friday. And I was meant to spend the Saturday with my girlfriend. Basically, I thought the idea was that, because neither of us are big on Valentine's Day, it's not like, let's go and whatever. So I thought we'll spend the day together on Saturday, and then I can do some stuff on Sunday, and then we'll get back together and have a nice meal on Sunday evening.
Yes.
I got drunk on Friday.
Yes.
And then
as you do.
I was not giving my full attention to it on Saturday.
But Saturdays are for the boys. So.
I was just not a good boyfriend on Saturday. And then Sunday I was like, let's do that again. I feel bad.
No, like like this weekend had, same thing. Girlfriend stuff.
Yeah.
Few drinks on Friday. And then I didn't watch much. I'm trying to think of what. We finished Lupin. We watched WandaVision together.
Oh, I just realized you didn't bring a new character this week. You didn't bring a new hello guy.
I ran a house.
You had 3 characters.
Yeah. I could have done like Sokovian accent.
Oh, God, don't.
Yeah. But,
God, don't.
No one likes that.
I'm going to be grumpy. My one's going to be grumpy today. I'm just... As you well know, as you well know, I'm doing this new personal trainer thing, and I'm just low on sugar. I feel like I'm low on sugar all the time. I'm like, I'm hungry. I'm hangry 24/7.
Drink a lot of water.
I was on a call yesterday for work, and I was asked a direct question, and I had a protein shake in my hand, and I was like, I can either be really antsy in my answer, or I can just chug this before I answer. So I just split the top and just chugged it.
Seriously? Was it an internal call?
Yeah.
Thank God. So like I was at the point where I was interviewing today, just like back-to-back calls. My brain was dead. I'm also kind of like eating less on a little calorie thing.
Yeah. Same.
And like was fucking just sitting there with the vape in my hand. And it was like a post-interview like chat where he's like,
"Don't vape, kids. It's bad for you."
Yeah, do not do it. It's so addictive. Preparing for the next like thing, and he called me to ring me through his slides, make sure he was thinking about it the right way. And I was just like, my hand was like twitching to vape, but I was on the Zoom and I was like, "You cannot do this! Like,
stop it!
I just threw it across the room. No. And then as soon as it was done, anyway.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you one thing I've been up to this week. I have finally started the Batman Arkham games. Finally. Oh, nice. I kind of got sick of trying to play. I had a little look to see at like the point I was at that game I keep banging on about. Mm-hmm. I was like 40%. I was like, fuck,
I can't do it.
This. Yeah. I'm just going to come back to it whenever I'm ready. I was so excited to play the Batman game. It's interesting though because I'm really used to the Spider-Man games, the ones on the PS4 and PS5.
Yep.
And adapting to play that different game style is actually really hard because like I just assumed it was going to be the same.
Oh, it's not the exact
because
same.
when people talk about the Spider-Man game, they say it's Arkham like. And I'm like, okay, easy. I'm great at those Spider-Man games. I kick the shit out of people in them. But there's like a lot of like subtle differences in the buttons, and I just keep pressing the wrong one and getting the shit kicked out of me. Even though I'm really early
That's
on.
always what happens.
It's so annoying.
When you learn a new game, like I'm playing Breath of the Wild for Zelda, and I've like got those controls down lock, and I kind of wanted to put in Red Dead, and that's actually the Red Dead control scheme is so nuanced, and there's so many different ways to press the buttons. I was like, if I do that, I'm gonna be like all over the place. Different controller, remembering everything, it's gonna be too hard. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I finished Lupin, which was all right. It wasn't great. Nice. It wasn't bad.
We actually finished the one, and neither of us are talking about comic book things here at all, but like we actually finished the one, Last Chance U. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Really good ending to the series. The first series is like not what you expect at all. It's really like it's real life as well. It's not like one of these shitty whatever shows, but I genuinely really enjoyed it.
I need to get into that because it's in my queue. It's one of those ones that's been in my queue forever, though.
Yes, it's very much one of those shows that you just like, am I ever going to watch this? But I would recommend giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Because it's really good.
I like doing that now that we work from home. When I've got like busy work that I can just roll through.
Can't
if it's busy work, I'm fine. If I have to like think and be like critical thinking and be like handling sales objections, like obviously you can't have a fucking TV on the back. But if you're just like going through some data, trying to do some raw data analysis or something, I can easily have Last Chance U on in the background. What else?
I tried that I've tried a lot more of that recently, and like don't get me wrong, like still work from home and stuff. Like You think I'd have improved at it by now? I have not improved at it.
Nah, I don't do it that often, to be honest. There's not many times these days where I can, but when I do, I try.
Well, all right then. Well, if we've not really watched a lot, why don't we jump straight into Wonder Watch?
Yeah. That was one of the things. I was like, Wonder Watch, and then
We
also
watched it together.
Yeah, we watched it together, and then The Expanse, I burned through an audiobook for that. I forgot about that. Well, I finished the show, and I was like, I need more content. And so I re-listened to the old audiobook, and I did it in like a really impressive amount of time.
Bloody hell, wow.
Anyway, but you guys have to get into that series. The best space sci-fi series I've ever seen since Star Wars. Probably.
It's all on Amazon?
It's Amazon, and then like I would read the books, man. The books are even better.
I've got the audiobooks. I'm gonna watch the show as well. I actually had the first season of it somewhere. Probably illegally downloaded.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I can share what my free trial's probably got 15 days.
I just use my free trial. You need to watch The Boys.
True, it's the next on the list. That's actually
I
was queuing one up, and then I fell asleep last night before we watched our thing that we're going to talk about today. But
yeah, for sure.
The last thing I'll say about The Expanse before we go to Wanda Watch is Wanda. I feel like there's a sitcom thing.
Yeah, you killed it. You've gone back to the beginning, the ones you didn't like. Sorry, go on. Expanse.
Before you, because you're about to get into it, what they start, or you're thinking about it. The Expanse. What they started doing, like with the first 4 or 5 books, I think each one is like a kind of a bit of a take on a different genre in the sci-fi setting.
That's cool.
So I think the first one is like a detective, almost mystery thriller.
All right.
I forget what the second one is. It might be a war. Third one's something else, and the fourth one's like a western. And then they've figured out their own tone, and it's all its own thing. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So there's this old show, Firefly, it's called, it actually permeates through a lot of pop culture. It's really interesting, and it was one season. I think it was one season. One season, only 14 episodes, and it is a space western, and it's generally like thought of as one of the best TV shows of its time. It was out in 20. Hang on, let me find out. It's out in
9 out of 10 on IMDb.
It was out in 2002, and it was cancelled. I think it's a Joss Whedon property actually. It was cancelled in like after the first season, and it is like permeating in pop culture. Like they make references to it in Community, they make references to it in Big Bang Theory, they make references to everything. It's really interesting, and they actually made a film called Serenity.
I was going to say, sounds like it's ripe for a rebootuation.
Well, well, they made a film.
Yeah, Josh Whedon composed the theme music.
Yeah, they made a film called Serenity, which like finished off the saga, and it was that was pretty well received as well. Interestingly. They killed a couple of main characters within it as well, so I don't know if they'd be able to do rebootuation quite as well. It's got do you know, have you ever seen Dodgeball?
Yes,
obviously.
Yeah.
You know Steve the pirate.
Yes,
he's the he's the pilot of the airship.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'll watch it and I'll not be able to get it out of my head.
Yeah, you mean my boy Justin Turner? Because Steve the pirate looks exactly like a player on the Dodgers. Anyway, really? Very notoriety. We just re-signed him. Anyway.
Talk to me about Wonder Watch, man. Like, what were your thoughts this week?
I'm trying to remember what was this week. This week was like Malcolm in the Middle 90s.
Yes.
Look, that is actually everything I hate about sitcoms was that like lessons and the kid just talks directly to the camera.
Yeah, I really hate that.
So like that was like cringeworthy for me.
The first 5 minutes.
But like they epitomized it perfectly. Again, they are doing what they're doing well. They're doing exactly what they're trying to do, and they're doing it well. It's just like got to be inside. I was like, this is like a Disney Channel sitcom that I don't want to watch. This is not the MCU. But then
they got a lot in that episode, though.
They got out of it pretty quick.
A lot in that episode.
For everything you learn, it presents more questions as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, look, loved it, enjoying it now. They've got to be done with the sitcoms now, right? Or are they going to go to 2000 sitcom?
I reckon they've got a couple more in them. How many episodes are there left? 4? 3?
Were they going to do like a Seinfeld one?
I think they could. That'd be fun.
Hilarious. Like that'd a 90s Seinfeld. Yeah. I'd be okay with that. Why not?
Do you know my tin pot theory for this week? Because foil hat theory.
Yeah.
Really interesting that Monica Rambeau's cells have been changed by going in and out of the hex, whatever you want to call it.
The hex.
The anomaly, the hex. So her cells have been changed at a molecular level. I think that is a really interesting point.
Yeah.
And she has, and as you found at the end of the episode, Wanda has, spoilers, Christ. Wanda has the ability to expand that as much as she wants. So she can change reality as far out as she wants to go.
We don't know if it's as far as she wants, but she definitely has the ability to expand it.
I personally think this week was almost confirmation that that's how they're going to introduce the mutant gene. That's what I think they're going to do.
Just then gets passed on by people.
She's going to snap it. It's going to go all out around the world. Her powers might not be able to withstand holding it all around the world. But once everyone's been within that atom molecule changing, some people are going to have different reactions. Yeah. I just have a feeling
it's a great way to do it. I think that it'll be this weird. My take on that is sure could happen. Yeah. Don't know if it goes around the whole world, but like that will cause whatever it does. It could cause mutations, but I still think that this will that will then cut away and we'll be back to some kind of reality, or that will be like the thing that rips almost like the Upside Down in Stranger Things that rips open the multiverse.
Could.
And because of that, there's going to be now only one multiverse can kind of survive, and that's going to be part of what reality is going to survive and who's going to be taken out by it and who's going to assimilate into this new reality. And part of that's going to be Doctor Strange and figuring out how to handle a multiverse and contain it. And I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to come from that will be the power of the Face.
Interesting, because there's a lot of precedent for that in the comics. They're having a universe
intersecting
realities being destroyed, and then. So I was talking about Secret Wars a couple of weeks ago.
Secret Wars, I knew that.
The basic premise of that is that
Jeopardy music.
A bunch of the universe has been destroyed, and Doctor Doom has pulled together remnants of different parts of these universes and smashed them into his own world.
Yeah,
and that's how at the end of it they recreate a bunch of universes, but some of them don't get recreated. So the Ultimates universe where Miles Morales comes from didn't. So they literally pick him and his family and put them in the main 616 timeline.
I think that's part of the reason why I went along this thought track because I read something when we were doing a Spider-Man one about how they combine the universes and only one could survive. I was like, okay, that's probably what they're going to do. That's probably what they're going to do. Or it's going to be part of the conflict is how do we shut it off and how do we do it morally in a sound way, because we're going to eliminate a lot of people. There could be they could introduce all these crazy.
Who do you think the engineer is?
Oh, that they're going to bring in.
So they
it could be. There's no this is just guesses at this point.
Yeah, of course. Well, she confirmed this week that it's a dude, so it makes a lot of people think that it is going to be.
Well, they announced Fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's going to be Reed Richards pre-powers, so him just as an engineer, rather than being Mr. Fantastic with his stretchy.
Well, I guess the question then becomes: are they going to do another origin story?
Fuck, I might imagine. But then
for the Fantastic Four, because they could do the Tom Holland thing where they just throw him in and he's Spider-Man. Right?
We talked about it at the end. They could even do it as a post-credit scene at the end of the Eternals with that.
Yeah.
Cosmic blast.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. I guess. I'm just curious. Will they skip it?
I mean, people think it'll be Hank Pym. I think that'd be too boring, personally. And it could be a way to kill him. To be fair, man's getting pretty old now.
Be careful.
I mean, in the MCU,
poor, I think he had throat cancer or something. He came out of it or something crazy. Still survived.
Okay. Anyway, Wonder Watch. You're excited about it. You're enjoying it. I am loving it, by the way.
Dude, and I'm loving the peripheral characters more than I thought.
Oh, cool.
Not. I just didn't expect to be really into the little storylines of the FBI agents running around and
but what's her name got ingested into the hex, didn't she?
Yeah, but so did everyone.
No, but
pretty much everyone.
But Wu and
you
Photon. I'm so bad today.
The girl that called it the hex.
She did.
Yeah, she got ingested. Yeah.
I have to cut so much out. Last week I had to cut so much out. Literally, it was just me rambling about Godzilla for 15 minutes. There was this absolute fucking tirade of crap, just me going on about. And then there was 2 Godzillas, and oh my god, I was what? I was listening to it.
Everyone loves Godzilla, mate.
This is what I was saying. I can't. For example, I couldn't do this and work at the same time. Edit this because I try and I'm just there going oh my god, I hate my voice. Oh my god, this is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm loving the WandaVision. I think it's fucking phenomenal so far.
Yeah. How did it end?
Well, yeah,
it was expanding.
She expanded, but just before that, there was a couple of really key scenes, really downbeat ones. Yeah. Obviously, the kids got their powers.
Before that, even
Pietro.
Yeah.
Pietro called them. What did he call them? Demon spawn.
Demon spawn.
Which is so many people. I think they're making it too obvious that it's going to be a Mephisto. I think that's way too obvious now because in the comics, her kids were created from part of Mephisto's soul.
There was another thing where he was like, "Where's your accent? Where's yours?" That's where I'm they've almost introduced more
and the bit
questions.
as well where he was like, "Don't you remember Halloween when we were kids?" and she doesn't remember, and she doesn't remember it. She was like, "No, I don't remember it quite like that." I'm like, Interesting.
That bit, and then also the bit where she's like, "How about that guy with the acne scars or something?" Didn't she say something like that?
Do you
and
know?
he's like, "You're testing me, but you don't need to." I don't know why I look different. It's almost like.
And then she flashes to seeing him dead as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
The most interesting part for me was when he said, "Your husband can't die twice."
Yeah.
She flips
What do you
and
think?
smashes
Your husband
into the
can't die
side
twice?
with her powers.
Yeah.
Oof, so interesting.
Yeah, it is because she obviously doesn't control, or maybe she does, and it's like all projections, and it's her just conflicting with herself. Because sometimes she acknowledges her mourning, sometimes she blocks it out. I really don't.
I think
they've kept it pretty open.
The most interesting bit for me about this whole episode was when Vision was going to the edge of the.
Oh, it was the coolest part for sure as well. And with the creepy crying.
The lady was there crying, trying to hang up her washing. Oh my god, that whole thing was just
very, very well done.
And then when he was falling to pieces,
on
the edge of the. Oh my god, like dude, I'm turning into like a fanboy over here.
It was super well done. That whole segment when she's like hysterically laughing as well as Agnes.
That's interesting as well because I think that was all put on. I think that's a play. Like she's playing up to that.
You really think someone's manipulating Wanda?
She's manipulating. So she's not under Wanda's control at all.
But there's a couple other people that are like that too.
Yeah. Obviously Pietro. She is. I can't name anyone else.
The black guy who's like doing the neighborhood watch. Is that what you want, Wanda?
Well,
and he's also the guy that was doing the trim and like acknowledge a division. Like, yeah, like we're all here because Wanda wants us here. Like he's done it. There's been a couple other people peripherally that have done it that don't have powers. At first, I thought it was all people with powers, but it's not. There's a couple other people.
I'm not sure. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to rewatch that episode now.
Yeah, I've already seen it twice.
I desperately want to rewatch that episode.
No, I'm just excited for the next one.
Yeah, Friday. You ready? Friday. It's a bit annoying that we record this on a Thursday and then it comes out on a Sunday because there is one that comes out in the middle of us doing this and we don't have any of that fresh content.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I would like to say we could change that, but I don't have the time to edit quickly enough to get it out before. Anyway, like that's what we've been up to.
That's all I had. Should we go into news?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of good did you hears this week.
Did I hear what?
Lead the way.
Sorry,
I don't know. Did I hear it? Did you hear it?
I heard. Well, you heard about the Rock movie.
The TV show.
TV
Young
show.
Rock.
I was watching it and I was like, I can't believe it. This is a thing. And the other thing is like, I actually would like it.
I can't wait. It looks great.
It looks good.
The actors in it look phenomenal.
Yeah, they all look, and the Rock's just such a likable dude.
Yeah, I love The Rock. I think the premise is that it's like set in the future and he's telling his life story, as in like he's running for a presidency.
Okay.
In the future, and he's like going back for his life story in like an interview. That sounds so good.
It's just so like
he just has all the charisma in the world. That guy.
Yeah, he does.
Like when charisma was given
out,
he just they gave him all the charisma.
Yeah. I also saw your favorite Zack Snyder trailer release.
Oh yeah, we should definitely do something on that.
What do you think?
My favorite the Snyder cut. I like, honestly, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. I do my best not to watch too many trailers for movies. I feel
didn't ruin much though.
Well, I feel nowadays trailers. It's a fucking 4-hour movie. How can they?
Yeah.
What's a trailer going to be? An hour long? Christ! I think nowadays trailers give away too much, but this one didn't give away much more than what we'd already seen previously.
There was only like 1 or 2 cuts that were new, right?
There was a bunch of new stuff in there.
The Superman one looked pretty. That part where he's like freaking out with the red eyes. Cool.
At the very beginning, that's when he'd just been killed by Doomsday at the end of Batman vs Superman.
Mm-hmm.
The most interesting bit was the Joker at the end. Did you enjoy that? He makes a comment on society, just like bloody Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Oh,
he's like,
I didn't catch that. I saw it in a screenshot.
It's a real deep cut, man. It's like the last flash of the trailer. It's good though. Like I feel like they've clearly done a lot of reshooting on this, or a lot of this stuff was scrapped previously.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like the question, like it tonally was everywhere, and now it'll be pretty dark.
Yeah. Well, speaking of DC, actually thinking about it, it's quite the opposite though. Lighter DC. They announced this week that the Suicide Squad is having a spin-off TV show with Peacemaker, who is played by John Cena. That's coming out in January, apparently. Yeah. It's gonna be.
I don't really know anything about that.
We talked about Peacemaker before. I don't know a huge amount.
Isn't he like so obsessed with peace that he kills everyone?
Yes, exactly that. I think it's gonna be hilarious.
Such a dumb premise. The only way you can make that is like like comedy, I would think, like almost like slapstick in a lot of ways.
Black comedy. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. That sounds
John
so
Cena,
big.
though, I could see pulling off.
I think he's great.
Yeah.
Look, let's touch on this really briefly then. You obviously heard this week about Gina Carano, who plays Dune in The Mandalorian. She's not a good person.
No, it doesn't seem so.
Funny that.
Doesn't seem so.
Well, it's actually interesting because a couple of other...
I also didn't like her before this.
I've never liked her.
I was like, yeah,
she was half good in. She was half good in Deadpool. I mean, let's not. I don't want to talk about her because the shit she came out with, man. Like, grow up.
Yeah, I mean, like, really. The crazy part is like, just goes to show. This is what I'll say. That everyone has something to complain about. Apparently, these people, like, you are just set up for life at this point.
Oh, I see what you mean.
How are you going to victimize yourself? Like the amount of mental gymnastics you have to go through to do that.
I'm going to go the opposite way to you. If you're that much of a fuckwit that you will ruin what you're set up with for life just to make some dumb point, which is absolute horseshit anyway, you deserve to be fucking fired. Of
course, I'm just like trying to like understand psychologically how the gymnastics you have to go through to be where you're at and realize like anyway.
Well, I have a really fun one for you here. I actually realized one. So, have you heard this week James Cameron is doing a reboot for TV of True Lies? Do you remember True Lies?
Why does that sound so familiar?
Oh my god. Okay, so it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's one of my...
Is that an 80s movie?
90s, yeah. It's one of the movies I full on grew up with. So basically, it is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. And it's essentially... Schwarzenegger's a spy who leads a double life. He doesn't tell his wife that he's this crazy spy. Yeah, he's supposed to be like... in sales or some shit. So like you, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like us.
Super
He's
spy.
a real person. And then he thinks his wife's cheating on him. So he sets her... I mean, it's very problematic. It wouldn't fly these days in the original format. But he sets her up to go and do this spy work. And she ends up getting kidnapped. And he has to go and save her. And it's really fucking funny. Like, it's a real good... It's like when satires were good.
Why in God's name would you do a reboot of this, though?
It was fucking funny.
Was it good?
Yeah.
It deserves one?
It really
Jamie
did.
Lee Curtis in it as well.
Yeah. Well, did you hear this week then, going back to our bread and butter, that they are still attempting to get Black Widow into theaters. So they're still aiming for the May 7 release. And hoping to get it in theaters. I'd love to see it in the
Why don't
theater.
they just send it to Australia? Come on, man. Let us
They will, May 7.
Yeah, but like they keep delaying everything. Like, we're good here.
Gosh,
good.
we're great. Please send us something. Please send us something.
The only other thing I saw was Rhea Johnson's Star Wars trilogy may still be in the works, which
that's
is
interesting.
very confusing to me. But
that's interesting.
I thought they were done with Star Wars as a trilogy thing for a while. They said
I would have thought
they
so
were.
too, but it must be like a spin-off of some description.
No idea.
Well, actually, I did see one that I think you're going to enjoy this week. You love Mortal Kombat, right?
I would say I love it, but
come on, man. We all love Mortal Kombat. We grew up with that shit.
I didn't play it that much.
Mortal Kombat.
I didn't play it. You sounded like Trevor Noah there. You sound like Trevor Noah doing like his Trump voice.
Oh, great. That's just what I wanted to sound like. I just didn't want to shout at my microphone.
The Capitol, guys.
Well, anyway, we're getting a trailer for it on Thursday, which I'm pumped for.
I'm excited to see
this thing's
trailer.
coming out on 16th of April. This is fucking soon.
I remember being a kid and seeing like the original movie and being super amped on it, even though I knew nothing about it.
The original was great fun.
And I remember playing the game a couple times. My mom saw how gory it was and being not able to play it after that. But
I think I had the same thing.
That's about it.
I remember so me and my brother used to do martial arts growing up. Mm-hmm. And the rec center we used to go to do martial arts, they had Mortal Kombat. And at the end of the session, my mum would be always distracted talking to one of her friends for like 15 minutes. I'd just get managed to sneak away and play a little bit of Mortal Kombat while I was there. And it was like the highlight of me doing martial arts.
Yeah.
Look, anyway, my final Have You Heard this week is I am a massive fan of this show. And I think you know about it. You are a fan of it. You do know about it. We watched the first episode together and you weren't a fan. It's called Final Space.
Final Space. It's just very goofy. I bet I would like it.
Goofy. Yeah,
I just don't get the chance to watch those things anymore. Like, so not my girlfriend's taste. So I have to really be able to find some time.
Take your own time, bro.
No, I know. I gotta find. And usually the cartoons aren't top on the list at that point.
Understood. But, I mean, well, this is they've just released the first trailer for season 3, which is coming out on March 20th.
Okay.
I am amped.
I love Archer. I love Rick and Morty. So I'm sure I'd like this.
The humor on this is way up my alley. It's dark. It's a bit twisted. But it's got a lot of heart to it as well. Like, if you watch the end of the first season, like, It's emotional. It's real good. Watch that shit.
Yell in the mic. Sorry, I cannot believe that from the pilot that I saw. That
I
you're
know.
telling me there's a heart-wrenching ending.
The whole thing's heart-wrenching. Like, so the build-up to the finale, the whole thing, and then the second season cuts just as deep. I think you'll like it. You should give it a go if you have time.
It's Netflix, yeah.
It is Netflix, yeah. You can get that pretty easy. As always, guys, if there's any have you heards that we might have missed, anything cool in pop culture, anything online that we haven't mentioned that you want to let us know about, anything that you heard that we didn't hear, drop us a line at pod_assemble on Twitter. I think they're the main sort of bits of news that have been coming out this week. I don't
have anything else.
Yeah. Nah, we've sort of touched on the WandaVision stuff already, and that sort of segues into our main topic. If you want to do the main topic theme. We do a different one every week. I appreciate it.
Well, we don't really have a theme. Topic. My brother called me, by the way.
Wow, great.
I'm still looking for my piano thing, but I'll get you that song. I was like, bro, this thing's been going for like 3 months now. You can do our main topic thing, maybe if you're lucky.
You should do a main topic thing, bro. So you can take your voice and just splice it. Tell me to listen to a few episodes. Though.
Yeah, I'll give him a couple episodes. Maybe I can do an overdub of my voice.
Give him a one good main topic thing.
Yeah,
give him one now.
Give him one now.
Yeah, give him one.
I can't. I don't have one. You can't do this to me, Tommy.
Main topic theme.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all we got. So anyway, our main topic this week is based off the WandaVision stuff we were talking about. We got like we said, we watched WandaVision this week's episode together.
Yep.
And we got super hyped about Evan Peters being in it as Pietro.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we were talking about at the back of it was his appearances in the X-Men movies. So he was only in 2 X-Men movies, one of which was Days of Future Past, and the other was First Class.
Yes.
So we flipped a coin between the two of them, and we decided we talked a little bit about Days of Future Past predominantly because it's the better one.
Because it's better, and we like to watch
much
good
better.
movies.
I wanted to watch something that I actually wanted to watch this week in the 5 minutes fucking spare time I had.
Yeah, and the premise here is we're also going to look at this and see, hey, is there anything of these characters? Is there anyone we really want to pull into the MCU? How would you do it? Would you want to? And by characters, also we're talking actors as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be interwoven throughout this.
Yeah, lovely. Do you wanna talk me through a little bit about this movie?
Yeah. So I guess I didn't, I watched it and actually had no idea about the timeline.
Initial thoughts.
Good. Yeah, really good movie.
Well, this is 2014, which is interesting because you just mentioned the timeline. I don't want to go too deep into the timeline because it's so fucking.
Well, I guess my point was I didn't what I was going to get to was it didn't bug me that I didn't know the timeline.
Got it. Makes sense.
It almost was able to stand on its own and be a good movie.
Well, the interesting thing about this movie is it's
having some people from each timeline.
Yeah.
From the new ones to the old ones. That part was cool.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about this movie is it was supposed to just essentially wipe out a bunch of old movies so they could effectively rebootuation it just with some of the same characters.
Yeah.
Which is, well, I mean, whatever, but so Bryan Singer's back at the helm of this one. It went through a different couple of directors, including Brett Ratner, who has got a really bad reputation in Hollywood. But he directs a few in the middle. I'm intrigued to know what you think the IMDb score for this movie was.
IMDb's tough. High 7.7, 7.8, high 7s.
Okay, 7.9. You were very close. Do you want to give me your Rotten Tomatoes?
That'd be higher. It'd be like 85.
90.
Really?
Further away that time?
Yeah.
Last one, Metacritic. What do you reckon?
What is Metacritic out of 10?
Yes, but with point.
I don't know. Probably 7.5.
8.3. Not bad though. Not bad. Well, what's
no? Those are all really good ratings for each of them.
Oh, I mean, incredible. I mean, what's funny about this was I was actually
X-Men movie. Especially.
Well, so I was looking at this afterwards, and so the ones that are really well thought of within these series tend to be the first two.
Yeah, I was going to say the
one
first
and
one.
X-Men United, maybe
X2. I think it's called.
Sorry, X2 United or whatever it is. And then First Class was obviously well thought of. And you got a couple of peripheral ones like Deadpool, Logan. Outside of that, there isn't a huge amount. So what I actually did was I'm such a geek. I got hold of all the IMDb scores for the movies.
Yeah.
And put them in a table to see how they ranked. Now, so I'm gonna go bottom up, so it's 12, right? So the worst is Dark Phoenix, which is 5.7.
Also the most recent.
But that's kind of obvious by the way they chucked this out after this movie, which doesn't make sense. Okay, so then X-Men Origins Wolverine comically known as one of the worst movies, which was 6.6. We've got The Wolverine, which was 6.7, which is actually fairly well regarded.
What is it? X-Men Origins is the Gambit one, yeah?
Yes, the one with Gambit.
So they also ruined Gambit.
They've ruined Gambit. Movie. They ruined they ruined Deadpool in that movie. Yeah, hang on, we're going to get to him in a minute. So then there's X-Men The Last Stand, which was 6.7 again. X-Men Apocalypse 6.9. X2 X-Men United at 7.4. X-Men the original in 2000, which is 7.5. Then you have Deadpool 2, which is 7.7. You have X-Men First Class, which is 7.7. Then you have this. So this is the third best of the X-Men movies. So this is 7.9 on IMDb. The only two which are seen as being better than this by the public are Deadpool and Logan.
Yeah. Well, Logan's good.
Logan's phenomenal.
Logan's good. But it's like a more isolated
self-contained.
tale. Yeah, it's self-contained.
Both are, and that's kind of why I think they worked better. But in terms of the sort of big gathering movies where you get them all together, like this is by far, from my opinion, the best one.
Did you rank New Mutants?
I didn't.
You didn't leave it. Let me tell you, it's a 5.3.
Yeah, so that's the worst thing.
Yeah, it's
but I feel bad for that one because it got caught up in the Fox Disney merger. Like it wasn't. I mean, neither was Dark Phoenix and Perfect Honesty. I watched a few things.
Holy crap! The chick from the Queen's Gambit was in New Mutants.
Yeah, so was Arya Stark.
Yeah.
And so was the guy from.
It was just like all the
good cast.
Good stream shows. Yeah.
Well, anyway. Look, so this had a budget of 200-ish million, roughly. Box office of 746, which isn't bad. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
For these movies, I mean, so the problem with these movies is like as they were coming out, it's been dwindling in terms of the amount they were making back gradually over time. And this one actually put up some pretty good numbers, which was really interesting. And it's a fucking stacked cast.
It is.
This has basically got every actor in Hollywood in it.
And
that
also
wasn't in the MCU.
True.
Some which might end up in there.
And it also just like was a good story. Like without, if you want to keep going through stuff about the movie, I'll stop.
No,
but it was a good story.
These goddamn actors.
Yeah, it was. Who was in it?
So we had Hugh Jackman.
It's all the good ones from the old one.
We had Hugh Jackman. We had McAvoy and Stewart. We had Fassbender, Ian McKellen. We had Jennifer Lawrence, Halle Berry, Nicholas Hoult, who's Beast.
Nicholas Hoult, dude.
Yeah.
Skins. OG show.
It has all of the actors in this. It's phenomenal. It brings back some of the old cast. It wipes out the bad parts of the story. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, it had every person you want to see from the old cast was in it.
100%, completely agree.
But not too much, like, not an excessive amount.
So this is based on a comic book of the same name.
Okay.
To sort of frame it as a background, there's actually I found a thing on YouTube the other day which makes me sad because I've read a lot of comics and it does like 10-minute overviews of each of the comic books. I could have just watched 10-minute overviews of all these comic books and just know what happens. It sucks. But anyway, so the movie actually changes the comic book very slightly away from how it plays out in the comics. Obviously, there's the Sentinels. They're in a lockdown society, being murdered off. But it's actually Kitty Pryde who goes back in time, the one who's sending him, which makes no sense because that's not her power.
Isn't her power just like running through walls?
Pretty much. I think so. Yeah.
Well, I guess you could like say she's like metaphysical. She can,
who knows?
You could really get pseudoscientific.
The only takeaway from this is that Wolverine's only part in the comic book, basically, is to get absolutely obliterated by one of the Sentinels, which is fucked up.
Fucking yacked that guy though. He is so yoked in that first scene.
Oh, unbelievable! Where he's naked.
He's just like, oh my god!
For this
spoilers. He's yoked. It's not a spoiler. It's Wolverine. He's yoked.
Well, the key one of these actors that I wanted to call out before we moved on was Evan Peters, and that's kind of the reason for this conversation. Right?
Okay.
So what do you think the tone of the movie was? Hit me up with some tone, boy.
It was actually like much like deeper than it was comedy. Although like it could have used a bit more comedic elements.
Maybe
I would have liked to see more Quicksilver for that very reason.
Yeah, fair. He was good.
Yeah, like
absolutely stand out. In this
like
movie.
The first half had more of them. And then the second half was like all serious. It was like all the funny parts were in the first half, I would say. Even like Logan's lines that were funny. But I would say it's definitely more of like a drama, intense
and
tone
it builds
than
the
it
characters
is.
Well as well. Which I like.
I'm
saying it's sort of the
Destiny. There's a lot of that stuff involved.
Destiny was exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, that Destiny theme is like a massive one within this. Tone, sorry. I think the contrast between the 70s and this bleak future is such a strange tonal shift. but it works so well the way they blend them together. What do you think the themes of the movie were?
The themes of the movie.
Talk to me about themes.
The themes are like,
themes. Well, I actually just wrote down. I just wrote down. Basically, the themes are anything that they could fit into the script that would rewrite what happened in the previous movies, which is pretty much exactly what this movie is.
Retcon is the theme.
Yeah. Well, that's
retcon.
Exactly. It's kind of like a weird mini rebootuation in a sense, or I think it was trying to be.
But it did a good job of it. Anyway,
well, how about this for a synopsis, right?
Yeah.
So, an indestructible man is sent back in time to save a young...
Indestructible man.
Well, hear me out. Hear me out. Save a young savior of humanity. And he arrives naked, and along the way, he goes through trials and tribulations, and he has to fight a shape-shifting adversary.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
The shape-shifting adversary adversary?
What movie are we talking about? Is this Terminator 2?
Oh, God.
Because this movie's plot.
That's actually
just the plot of Terminator 2.
Yeah, but that's the one thing about this movie. I'm like, they didn't focus too much.
I'm fucking around.
No, but they didn't focus too much on the time travel stuff, and I'm glad because, I don't like when they do. Like, you can't make it sound good. It's always going to be a bit gimmicky.
You know what's real funny? I think one of the friends of the show, I forgot which one, wrote in the other day and was laughing at my... epic guy voice for doing the plot synopsis. So I'm going to do the plot synopsis in epic guy voice just to wind you up for the show. Just for you. So, in the future, the mutants and humans who help them are slaughtered by powerful robots named Sentinels. Professor Xavier, Wolverine, Magneto, Storm, Kitty Pryde, and friends meet and send Wolverine back to 1973 to stop the murder of Dr. Bolivar Trask. Will he succeed in stopping Mystique and the Sentinel? I can't do this anymore. Fuck my voice. And save the mutants from annihilation. Will he succeed?
I mean, spoiler alert.
It's called X-Men. Yeah, of course
they do succeed. The theme is work together to become the best version of yourself.
Probably.
Something like that.
Something like
that. And then they do, except also one of them doesn't.
True. Very true. Well... Do you want to tell me? I mean, do you want to do best and worst?
Best and worst. I didn't I didn't do this, but we can. Yes, I'll go off the cuff. Do you want to start?
Okay, sure. I'll start with worst.
Okay.
Oh, man, I actually quite like this movie. It's quite hard to do worst.
Like the best, I would say, combat was awesome when you're in the future.
Okay.
The future they're trying to get rid of, where everyone's like being exterminated. Some of the cool combat with like the teleporting and the portals and just like all the X-Men together using their powers. I was a big fan of that. I thought the Sentinels were pretty badass and intimidating.
Yep.
And what would be my third? Loved the Inception-esque dual crescendos happening at the same time, but on different timelines.
I did kind of like that.
That was really
Didn't
well
make
done.
sense, but I liked it.
But it was really well done.
So to your points there, I'm going to sort of kind of flip on. So the Sentinels, I actually really liked them in this, but they copped a lot of heat from comic book fans because they're very different to what they look like in the comics. But that's very interesting.
They look badass though. They had these fucking knife hands. It was crazy. Yeah,
well, because we mentioned Bryan Singer was the director of this. So if you remember the very first X-Men movie, he was the one who introduced those all black leather outfits, and it's very interesting that he, at the very beginning, couldn't make it comic booky. He couldn't give Wolverine a bright yellow outfit and Cyclops a bright blue one. He couldn't force himself to do that. Yeah. And now he sort of made these Sentinels, which are in the comics fucking bright purple. He's made them into the exterminator thing from the first Thor movie. That's literally what they are. So I like them. I genuinely do. But at the same time, they copped a lot of shit from comic book fans. Now, the thing you said as well about the I've forgotten the character's name, but when she's throwing the portals, I had to look them up. I can't. Yeah. When she's throwing the portals, can you answer me this one question? This could be an unanswerable questions later on, but why doesn't the second part of the portal just open up in fucking Iceland or something? When she's throwing it underneath the Sentinel so it vanishes, she's throwing it in Iceland.
You mean like Doctor Strange?
Yes. Why do you have to do it 10 feet away?
Let's imagine she probably has some level of limitation on locality. Yeah,
get better, mutant.
I think her name is Jinx.
It could be Jinx.
Yeah, I think her name is Jinx.
100% remember.
Anyway, I just thought the sequence is really cool. How they I threw Colossus in the air and then he went higher because she made another portal and higher, gained more terminal velocity and then just pounded the guy.
I agree.
The shooting as
That
well,
was
where she
very
got
cool.
closer because they were far away, and you just like were headshotting them from really close, even though they were far away.
I think there's one scene as well that I imagine you would have liked. The scene when the two Xaviers actually meet. Like, it's complete nonsense and it's a paradox, but I actually really liked it. Like that
was like the quintessential part of the theme.
It
like,
had to be in there. You have the old meeting the new.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's your worst then?
The worst would probably be, I can think of one where basically I was like, I love how everyone is just getting murked. Like at the end, I was like, bye-bye, Storm. Later, like, they were just killing off all the characters. And then I like slowly realized, actually, none of this is going to matter because they're all going to come back. Like, I just don't really buy that. I don't like that.
Well, it set you off that at the beginning as well, which kind of sucks. I also don't like the fact that Colossus was literally there just to be murdered. Like, that's the whole
Colossus never gets a big role in any of the X-Men movie. And I always
he was pretty big in Deadpool.
As a joke, but it's not the same Colossus.
Yeah,
like, it's a completely different, like almost different universe. But you're right. He did have a comedic role in that, and that was good.
Yeah, I think he's great in that.
What else did I not like? I thought
I didn't like the ending. Now let me. The bit of the ending I don't like is when Magneto lifts up the football stadium or baseball stadium and puts it around the White House. Now there's a lot of problems with this.
There's no reason to as well.
There's no reason. And secondly, I'm pretty sure a lot of baseball stadiums have a lot of exits and entrances like all around them. So just pick one and walk through. Yeah. Like, it's not hard.
Well, I mean, it might be hard when it's like halfway collapsed and everything's in shambles, but I take your point.
Okay, then. He turns around to the one Sentinel and he says, do what you're made to do. Yeah?
Yeah.
And if they're doing what they're made to do, it's already looking at him. He needs to kill a mutant. He's going to kill a thing that's directly in front of him, which is Magneto. Why doesn't he immediately just murder Magneto?
But didn't he like fuck with them? Like, he put the metal in? That's why he's...
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't fuck with his program.
I think that's the point. They lost control. Apparently he did.
I actually really enjoyed this movie. I'm really struggling to find three bad.
Yeah, the only bad thing I would say is just that we didn't get Quicksilver in the future. And by combat, one of my good things, that scene was awesome.
And we didn't get Quicksilver in the final battle, which would have been so good.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of also gimmicky how with Quicksilver, they were just like, one line was like, oh, I think I knew my mom knew a guy like that. Like, they could have done that more subtly, though.
Why? Like, that's great. That's great.
It's literally them just being like, he's his dad, by the way. Like, if for comic book fans, like,
that's great. I like that.
I'm down for them to include it, but
that's the kind of almost subtlety that these movies never had. They would rather just slam you in the face with something rather than it be subtle. It's interesting as well.
It just felt like fanfare. It didn't actually affect the story or any of the future movies. So, like, maybe it's the hindsight that it didn't affect the other ones. That I'm like, what's the point?
But that was an absolute highlight for me. That was probably the best. We completely skipped that when we were talking about it. But that running scene, I said before, that's one of the only two running like versions of a speedster for me that actually work.
Dude, what about the line where he's like, "You want to pick all that shit up?" The plane, I was cracking up. Yeah. That was good. That's where they're like giving the little tiff in the very beginning.
Yeah, and they're in the plane.
And everything falls because of the metal. And he's like, you want to pick all that shit up? And then it just cuts to a new scene.
All right, before we go into sort of more spoiler stuff, we've pretty much spoiled it anyway, but is this better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
Better. Better. It is better, Tom.
Interesting.
Survey says better.
Oh, survey says.
Yeah.
Don't want to find a friend, 50-50?
I'm confident.
Okay. No.
I'm confident. I'm sure you agree.
I agree. I think its lows are probably worse than the Aquaman lows, but its highs are so much better.
I just think it's a better movie.
Okay, so we're going to go into the full, like, spoiler, just basically tearing to pieces. The one thing about all of these X-Men movies that I absolutely hate is the Professor Xing. Now, it's done so often, it's got its own term.
Does it?
For anyone who doesn't know Professor Xing, it's when you essentially take the strongest character, who is almost always Professor X, and you find a way to remove him at the beginning of the movie so he can't just beat everything in one go. It's
every movie.
Do
they do it in every movie?
In every movie they do it. Every single one. There's a reason he's not there. In the first X-Men, it's because Cerebro got taken over. In the the second. Look, he's not in.
Anyway, yeah.
Because he's one of, along with Magneto and Storm in this, one of the only Omega level mutants.
Yeah. Omega level. What does that mean? Just like crazy?
The most powerful you can be.
Okay.
and he's in this god class of mutant.
Okay.
Which you give him a serum and it takes away his power. Fuck off.
That's a MacGuffin.
Yes,
that's
a classic.
Yeah. So like that really wound me up, and I didn't want to go into that in
Better or worse because it's kind of a spoiler.
Yeah.
We did get a glimpse of who you think is Wanda in there as well. Did you notice that? So when
little sister or something.
Later on, Quicksilver's watching a TV with all the action happening at the White House, and he's got a little sister on his lap.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
There was actually, I put this in my notes.
They're twins. They should be the same age, but apparently
very young.
Apparently, that's not Wanda. Apparently, that's a different character. They just didn't explain that in the movie.
Okay.
Which is interesting because that was one thing I was going to be like,
they're not the same age. That's not a twin.
So I guess like thinking about this, like, and this movie and maybe the broader X-Men, what they're calling the legacy Marvel movies, which if you go on Disney Plus, what would you take from this? And like, not even maybe not even character wise, but even story. Like, what would you like to see somehow make its way into the MCU?
Story none.
So story none, but by that I mean, do you not want like an X-Men origin story with a bunch of different X-Men, or do you want just how do you want this to integrate? And then maybe that's too broad. What characters would you be down to see in the MCU?
Let's put that twist on it. So from this universe, so let's just say this movie, for example, where you have all of them. Pick a fucking character that's been in there. And a bunch of them have been recast a number of times. Are there any of these characters that you would like to see pop up in the MCU? Let's go that way.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy because like it won't happen. But God, I just forgot how much I like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
He's great.
There's a reason why he's in every film. He freaking carries it.
I wouldn't mind seeing the old man version of him pop up because I like that definitive ending.
If you could do that, that'd be awesome. But I also think there's too much baggage with him to really do it. But it would be. I'm of two minds. I think they probably should, but I wouldn't mind if they did it because it's Marvel, and I'm like, oh, maybe they'll find a way. Yeah. But definitely, I think everyone will agree that Quicksilver, who already has entered, is a good call.
Can I? Sorry, just before we talk about this again, I need to make one more point that we didn't make before.
Yeah.
They say that the turning point for Sentinels was the first time Mystique kills, right?
Yes.
That's complete nonsense.
She killed before.
She killed the Vietnamese dude. We saw it happen.
Literally in the beginning of the movie.
And
I was like, whoa, they already failed?
I'm like, what? What are you talking about? It's complete bollocks, that premise. Sorry, yeah. So I was watching this and I was like, what do I actually like about this movie in terms of things you could bring out of it? Now, if we're going to put it in the context of these are one-off shots in a Multiverse of Madness, in a WandaVision, then there are more than I would like to see integrated into the universe. I don't want to see these characters integrated at all, if I'm perfectly honest.
Really?
But if you're giving me that sort of flash in the next Spider-Man, whatever it is, you're giving me that 2 seconds of a character who runs into hell. So you don't want
it to be a recurring thing. You'd rather it be this
not at all. This is a one and done. If you do them, and I've said this before, and I don't mean it as a joke at all, if you have these characters in the MCU at all, it's for Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Like, that's all I want. Yeah. I want to see Deadpool going through the X universe, this original one, the Fox universe, and systematically murdering every single one of them.
That would be pretty funny.
That's what I want to see.
I actually like Michael Fassbender as a young Magneto. If they're going with this thing where they've got Quicksilver in, he's kind of that era.
That's what I was going to say.
That could be interesting to bring him in and have that be, actually, this is your origin story.
That's what I was going to say.
Scarlet Witch and whatever, and yeah.
If you ask me to have a flash in a pan moment with them, or with any of these in like a WandaVision, I would say Fassbender, 100%.
As Magneto.
And Stewart. Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
I'd like the old and the new, and I want them to clash.
But Patrick Stewart's too...
He's too old now, unfortunately.
Not even that, it's also he's just too iconic for the role. Like, what I like about bringing Fassbender is he's only really been Magneto in a couple movies.
True.
And he's the younger version, and it kind of does fit with the time if they're pulling Quicksilver in.
Does his accent not really piss you off? He should not have a perfectly British accent.
I mean...
It really pisses me off.
Maybe he was just traveling.
Really annoys me. I'm like, just be a little bit. Like,
yeah, I mean that's a fair point. That's a bit
too deep.
But you're right. You would notice that. I wouldn't.
I tell you one thing actually one character from that movie who, funnily enough, was a recast. Who I would love to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Peter Dinklage.
I was just gonna
The Bolivar Trask character in that.
How about him? Like, this must have been peak Game of Thrones because he was getting all the movies around this time.
But he's already been in the MCU. He was in the Endgame when he helped Thor recreate his hammer. Sorry, in Infinity War.
Oh fuck, he was. He had the really
he
deep
was the
voice.
He was the dwarf.
He was like, we cannot. Like
it was really weird. And he had his hands cut off.
Yeah.
So it would be. I mean, it's not impossible. You have characters returning in these movies, but
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But
it's a tough one. Like,
yeah. I honestly, so I guess in that sense, we've kind of talked about those two characters and how they'd come in. What do you want them to do? With X? How do they integrate X-Men then if they go a whole new way and they don't? Maybe they only take those two, but they don't take anything else, which I think is probably what they're going to do.
I don't think they're going to take any.
You don't think that? So you're just going to be new X-Men,
completely new. You can like they're doing with the Fantastic Four, the Van Four stick. They're not going to bring back any of those.
But will it be Wolverine?
Great.
Are they going to cast a new Wolverine, or are they going to go do like X-Men that they never covered before?
They have 80, 100 years of comic book lore. Of course, they're going to use the same characters. Like, they're going to have to.
But I guess there's so many other X-Men
there could use. So many.
So I'm like wondering, will they just try and put some time in between them and before they do? Yeah, I don't know.
And there's a lot that have got minor roles throughout the movie. So like one who was in X-Men Apocalypse, Psylocke, who's really fucking cool chick who creates swords. with like
swords,
with like energy. I'm literally holding up imaginary swords. I'm like super cool, really underutilized in these movies. And there's a bunch of them, like Jubilee, who's like a fan favorite. She's been cameos in 2 movies.
Yeah,
I would like, if they're going to introduce the X-Men in any way, I'd like a slow burn introduced. So for example, if we imagine going back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of the show, saying, if you could imagine Wanda's power engulfs the whole world for a moment, changes people at a molecular level, and some of them get these mutations, I can imagine them drip feeding in post-credit scenes. You give me a post-credit scene where you see someone who all of a sudden is able to change their appearance to someone else, or someone who all of a sudden can have 2 swords of energy in their hands.
I just don't know how I feel. I'm so conflicted because this is what I realized watching this again is it's still recent.
Yeah, real recent.
It's almost too recent for Marvel to not do this again and not have like
the last one
echoes of this. You know what I mean?
The last one came out in 2019,
and like the taste of it could still be pretty fresh in people's mouths. Like these characters associated with these roles.
It's very true. So I wouldn't be surprised if they give it a bit of time.
Yeah, maybe they wait till like Phase 5.
They could
use it. They use the same.
It's not slated for Phase 4.
Yeah, they use this same stuff as like the things we're talking about as the way to enter it. Enter it to bring it in.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Yeah. Well, let's go old cast and new cast, right? Yeah. Really broad strokes. Like, let's just go through the main ones and tell me if any of these you would like to bring through.
Okay. Let me just quickly get up.
I got it up.
You've got it there.
Yeah, I got the original one.
X-Men 1.
Yeah. So Patrick Stewart.
So all right, absolute fanboy casting. If we could bring them in, I would fucking love to see Patrick Stewart.
Okay, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
I'm going to be controversial here and say no.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair.
You're right. He's too iconic. I'd just like to see someone else do it.
Yeah,
but also
I just don't know if anyone else can.
It would be a great surprise to see someone else in that role. Like, imagine a younger actor.
But who could pull it off? Like he. This was his big break, wasn't it? He's like an iconic.
He was getting big at that point. Yeah,
he's the first superhero superstar, I would say, that I could think of for this like modern superhero movies. Like surely this might be before Spider-Man. Like this is before Tobey Maguire, isn't it?
I think you're forgetting about Wesley Snipes as Blade. Now 1998 was a long time ago.
It's not as big iconic of a character as well.
Love that. Look, let's go pretty super quick. Okay. So Ian McKellen as Magneto. Old Magneto.
Look, he's great, but no.
He's phenomenal. I wouldn't have him either. The chick who played Jean Grey.
No.
I'm not a fan. I'm going to ask this one. James Marsden.
I actually didn't realize that he was the dude.
He is bad in this.
I thought like he's the perfect like look for Cyclops. Like, doesn't he just look like the guy that would be a twat Cyclops?
I can't.
I don't remember his acting though, to be honest.
I can't. He's so wooden. And like
Well,
he's
so wooden. You're just saying that because you're remembering from Westworld where he's like, Dolores.
is he definitely the one in Westworld?
Yeah, he's the same guy.
I love him in Westworld.
Yeah.
He's so good. Okay, right. So no, bad. Halle Berry.
I mean, she was a great Storm, but I think no.
Would like to see her come back.
I don't know
If fan casting would like to see it. Okay, so none of these really
None of these other
good.
people are like relevant at all.
Well,
Ray
like,
Park,
so-
who played Toad, also played Darth Maul.
Yeah, he did.
Know.
And so, for example, Rebecca Ramijin, I can never say her name right, played Mystique, recast. So,
Yeah.
like, not for me. I mean, of the main ones in that first movie, probably Storm, probably Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Now let's go
for the first
from.
one.
Let's also go now from the Dark Phoenix movie.
I actually thought she would be a good casting for this, but the movie just looks so bad.
Right, so you have James McAvoy as Charles Xavier. Come on, good or bad, good or bad, good or bad.
He kind of bugged me.
Says.
I think he kind of bugged me. I say no.
Wow.
But I like him, but he kind of... it was too much of a... I was like, you're not... How could you become this other guy? It was too far of a leap.
You know what bugged me about him is?
Yeah.
He's like one of the most intellectual minds like in Marvel. And he couldn't fucking remember what Logan said to him. Really wound me up. So the line in First Class, Logan walks up behind the two. And I told you to watch this like in like one of our first podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Logan Magneto and Xavier walk up behind Logan in First Class and say to him, "We're looking for your help," and he just goes, "Go fuck yourselves." And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like a 4-second.
No. And like when he walks in this movie, he says, "I'm going to tell you what you told me all those years ago." He's like, "Fuck off." And I'm like, that's not what he said.
That's not what he says.
Just come on, man. Get it right. That's the best line of the whole
So
fucking
he
movie.
actually did. So I forgot about that. He does say that. So,
He does. He says
so he actually remembers
he'd seen
him.
it. Yeah,
Does he
yeah.
remember him?
Yeah, he remembers he'd seen him. Yeah. Briefly in the beginning. Yeah. All right, look. This isn't even fun anymore. These are all crap.
Nicholas Hoult, I'd be down.
Michael Fassbender, hit me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
He's
You
the
like
one
him?
I like him.
Okay. Jennifer Lawrence dead. Who cares?
Dead.
No, she is in the.
Dead.
She died in Dark Phoenix, obviously.
Hank McCoy.
Sophie Turner
I didn't see it, so I can't say. But I actually like her as Phoenix.
is as wooden
As a casting, though, I like
as
her.
Daniel Radcliffe. Just nail them together and let them
You don't
go
like
out.
her in
Let them
Game
be
of
a
Thrones?
raft out to sea.
You don't like her in Game of Thrones?
She's fine.
I think she had some pretty bad writing to do.
I also
with
just
that.
think, like, I don't know. I haven't seen her in enough things to know if she can play other characters or if that's just, like, all she can do.
she's wooden.
You skipped Nicholas Hoult.
I don't really like her.
Really? Oh, Skins, man. Such a good show.
I never watched it. Funny enough, growing up. Okay, so Ty Sheridan as Cyclops, Scott Summers.
Whatever. Did he even have a line?
Like
Yeah.
we're talking about wooden.
Yeah. I don't.
I think he's also hamstrung by bad writing, but
None of these people are relevant. I think we should just stop doing this now.
it's a struggle.
Yeah.
Like, after you get past those main few,
Yeah. It's just, it's not worth our time.
I
don't feel like there is enough in these characters.
Nah.
So the problem with these movies for me, and the one we've been talking about, Days of Future Past, did fairly well at probably the best job of it overall, I'd say, is that the characters aren't developed enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, the reason Marvel works so well is how well it develops the characters.
Yeah, each one of these guys could have had their own movies. Wolverine didn't need to be the dude in every movie.
No.
He just needed to be the dude that carried the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, he just needed to be
Well, that's
Tony
kind
Stark.
of that's what he was.
No, but like, I mean,
Well, that's
like,
what he was set up to be, and he just
Robert
wasn't
Downey
good enough
Jr. isn't in every bit of all the Spider-Man movies, right? Like,
No.
he just interlocks and he's the glue. He could have
So-
been that.
Well, what I would quite like to see is, and the MCU does this really well actually, is picking specific characters and bringing them into other movies. So you look at like Thor Ragnarok's prime example. You pick the Hulk out,
yeah.
you put him in that movie, and works like a treat. So picking storylines that maybe have an X-Man and another character. So the one that everybody like, the pick everyone wants to see is Hulk versus Wolverine.
Yeah.
That movie would be fucking phenomenal.
It would be.
I would pay top dollar to see that. You could put whoever you wanted in the Wolverine character. I wouldn't give a shit. I just want to see that.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued if they're gonna kill off Mark Ruffalo's Hulk though.
Well, I don't know where they go with him from here.
Because his arc's done.
Yeah.
Unless the Hulk finds a way to bust back in.
I mean, and maybe it could. There's no doubt that it could.
I mean, it could.
But they could also go another movie with him being this funny guy. It was only like half a movie, you know. Like, there's still time for him to like
I think he's slated to show up in the She-Hulk TV show. So I think he's probably going to be sort of like a comic relief almost.
Yeah.
Did you just make a weird noise?
I was saying like you think he's going to get killed.
I see. Yeah. I think. Yeah, the rate is probably going to be. Anyway, those are the lack of characters we'd like to see from these X-Men movies coming into the MCU.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the way they're doing it is good. Just keep it small. Keep one or two. Keep the one, like, what if they just did it where it was just what was connected to Scarlet Witch? Like, so Magneto, her brother, that's it.
Okay.
Bring
Magneto in.
Yeah, I think that, like, that's a pretty self-contained...
I think she's going to be the villain. I think you need someone who's going to try and bring her back. So I think you need a Charles Xavier. Well, it's likely to be Doctor Strange in the show, or you need someone who's trying to bring her back to the good side.
That will be Doctor Strange for sure, and Monica
could be. Oh, Monica,
apparently
Photon, but it could also be Charles Xavier. Anyway, look, we appreciate you guys sticking with it. We've been rambling now for a long time. This is a topic that I genuinely really enjoy talking about. I think these X-Men movies were crap, but so good at the same time because they gave us a platform for kind of what we have now. It's really interesting when you read Kevin Feige talking about, like, he worked on all these movies.
He was in a producer, right?
He was in a producer role, and he took a lot away from that and put into what his role is now, which is awesome, and I love that. And maybe we could come back to this at some point because I actually would like to talk more about these movies, maybe about the awkward timeline.
We could do like a little funny version.
Let's do a timeline version. Let's do that at some point. All right, cool. Well, thanks for sticking with it, guys. We really appreciate it. We genuinely do.
Yep.
So this week we had just a tiny bit of correspondence this week, which was really nice. A friend of the show, Matt, messaged in, and he posited a theory actually, and I think we didn't. I specifically edged away from this when we were talking at the beginning about WandaVision. He posited a theory that could it be Hawkeye who comes in to try and save Wanda? Now, let me frame this because I thought about this. He put it out there, and I was thinking about it in the context of the movies, not just like Hawkeye being, what we talked about last week, being the disposable, useless one. But if you think about it, he has a lot of emotional depth with her. So in the very first time she was in an Avengers movie, he was the one who gave her the pep talk to bring her into the Battle of Sokovia.
Yeah, I remember
he was the one who gave her that confidence. Yeah. He was the one who was sent in Civil War to bring her to Team Cap. He was the one who was sent to pick her up.
Oh, he does. He electrocutes Vision or something?
He talked her into it. Yeah, he was on that. And at the end of Infinity War, he was the one who stood having a conversation with her about the loss they'd both had.
That actually is a great point.
I think that is so interesting. He also has his own TV show coming up.
They usually do have continuity with that kind of stuff too.
They really do.
Yeah.
And friend of the show, Matt, I love this theory. I hate to put a spanner in that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's probably going to be Doctor Strange or maybe Reed Richards like we've talked about. But it's such an interesting one.
What's interesting is that...
Are you dying over
that I can't breathe. What's interesting is that it's almost so obvious for it to be Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Because they've announced the titles.
Absolutely.
So it's I haven't been following the MCU this way while things have been coming out. I was one of those guys that started actually getting into it in phase 3 and just caught up rapidly because I was traveling a bunch.
Okay.
And so I've never been able to theorize about things and be oh, this is probably what's going to happen. Does it actually happen? I don't remember the other theories. Right. Do they usually do what's expected for some of these things, or is it a bit? Or do they usually really subvert? I don't know.
They're really great at subverting.
Yeah.
So many good examples in the MCU of taking a character that you expect to be a certain way and flipping on its head. They do a fantastic job of subverting your expectations. Prime example, in Captain Marvel, the Skrulls were announced. We've talked about this before, in the comics, the Skrulls are just
enemies.
A basic bad guy.
Yeah.
For everyone to sort of focus on. The big difference being that they can shapeshift and...
Yeah.
But in that movie, they changed the whole concept of the Skrulls to being... basically persecuted for no reason.
They're victims.
Which is really interesting. Yeah. And the MCU does a great job of that. Thanos' motivations in Infinity War, maybe not so much Endgame, but definitely Infinity War.
In the comics, didn't he want to get a date?
He was trying to date the personification of death, which makes fucking no sense. But they genuinely do a really good job of that. And when we were talking at the beginning, and I was saying they've made it too obvious to be Mephisto. It's too obvious, I think. Yeah. I think they've laid too much groundwork. It's almost like, you remember in James Bond Skyfall when he's doing
Skyfall.
Yeah, bloody Adele. There's a scene when he's fleeing away from the bad guy, Raoul Silva, and he's going up to Scotland. And he tells Q to lay a trail. And he's like saying, but lay enough that the bad guy will find it so he knows where to find me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they're doing. I think they're making it too obvious for a reason. And then I think at the end it's going to be something you don't expect.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Like, don't could be fucking anything.
Yeah.
But I don't think the sinister force behind manipulating her is going to be what you think it is.
Yeah. Well, do you think Doctor Strange will show up?
I think he's the only one who can help her that we know. Like, they can't just throw Charles Xavier in there. He's not built up. People wouldn't. It would just be confusing.
I feel like people would be annoyed.
Yes, I agree. And I also think Hawkeye is a great shout as someone who could be brought in. Like, if this was brought out after the Hawkeye TV show, I would say she murders him twice in the comics. I would say bring him in, try to reason with her, get that spark of humanity, but then she snaps and kills him anyway.
And that's her flip to full villain. That could happen.
That's what it would have been. And then Doctor Strange has got to try and bring it back. Bolt. They didn't do Hawkeye first. They did this first, unfortunately.
Tough, isn't it?
It's hard. I'm so pumped for next week's episode.
The Hawkeye show, they haven't given us a timeline, have they?
I'm not sure when it comes out.
Could be the past, could be the future. We don't know. He could die, and then they just do a whole Scarlet Witch or Black Widow thing.
Could be.
Yeah. That would be a pretty raw deal for all the normal people.
Brutal.
They get their movies after they're dead.
But he's another great example of subverting the expectation. Like, Jeremy Renner tried to walk away from them, or was very unhappy with his role in the original Avengers movie. He was like, I'm not sure, because he was just like. He was mind controlled the whole time. Yeah. He wasn't a real good guy until the last third of the movie, till the final act. So he was unhappy with that. So that's kind of the reason why in Age of Ultron he became more of the heart and soul of the movie. He had the family and etc. And he was built up as if he was going to die. He was the one who was going to die, and then he didn't. And then it was ironically Pietro. Yeah. And then you expect him to die at the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
And it turned out it was Natasha who died.
Yeah.
And it was like, they've done this great job of building it up. I just think they're going to subvert our expectations one more time.
Well, we'll see you guys.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah. We really appreciate that as a theory. Like, we talked about that way more than I expected us to from such an offhanded comment. But love it, Matt. Thanks very much. That's a really awesome theory to posit. Dre, if anyone else wants to give us any theories, where can I find us?
thepodcastassemble@gmail.com and pod_assemble
on Twitter. That's where they can find us. That was first time. That was so good. We get it first time every week.
Every fucking time, mate.
Do you remember when we went through the phase of I couldn't do the intro for like 10 minutes? This is what I'm dealing with over here, guys. Yeah. This is dire.
God save us all.
Thank you all, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you later, guys. Bye.